So as you are aware, k2.6, Kimi k2.6 was released 2 days ago, and these are the benchmarks. Benchmarks are great, really, really impressive. However, I do not take these benchmarks at face value. I like to put this model or these models against each other or against the best of the best, right? And in today's video, putting up Kimi k2.6 up against Opus 4.7. This is a super fun comparison test video that I like to make. The results are always very interesting, and it's like seeing really expensive models compete with really cheap and open source models and seeing how well they stack up against each other is something that never really gets old. So without wasting much of your time, let's get right into it. So as you can see here, I have Kimi k2.6 running on OpenCode directly from Open Router, and I do have Opus 4.7 running on Cloud Code. So these are the harnesses I'll be working with, and I think this is the typical way most people make use of these models. Before we get right into the prompts and seeing how well these models stack up against each other, I'll give you a quick preview of what these prompts are, the goal, and what we're trying to achieve here. So this is the first prompt. It is a technical real-time canvas simulation. It's supposed to build a single HTML artifact, and we do have a couple evaluation criteria here for both of them. Does it hit 60 FPS with over 5,000 particles? Is mouse interaction responsive and physically believable? Does the glow effect look intentional or accidental? Is the UI restrained or cluttered? So we do have 5 of these prompts, and we do have evaluation criteria for each and every one of them, and I'll be going over them as we go through the video. I noticed that during my last video, a bunch of people really wanted to have access to the prompts, and I'll be making that available. Links will be in the description, so you can also see a more detailed breakdown of this test. So let's get right into the first test and seeing how well they perform and who won this version. So starting off will be time to completion. It took k2.6 5 minutes 18 seconds, and it took Opus 3 minutes 6 seconds. It's not that crazy, but k2.6 spent a lot of its time thinking through the process before it started building out the HTML file, and Opus kind of did the same thing, but it was a bit faster. So let us see the results. All right, so this is the fluid simulation. This is Kimi's version. It does hit 60 FPS with 5,000. Okay, let's see how interactive it is and if it stays at 60 FPS consistently. So we should reduce the viscosity. And this is where it gets a lot more dynamic. We're consistently at 60 FPS, so that is not an issue. I don't know how I feel about the UI, but it's functional and it works pretty well. If we take gravity all the way to 0, it's upside down. This is interesting. And gravity's moving slower right now, and things are... Anyway, this is fun. This seems to work really well. Nothing is broken, so that is great. And this is Opus's version, and let's see what we have. We do have a bit more... There are a lot more particles here, and we are still consistently at 60 FPS, so that's fine. Let us increase gravity for a bit, and it's a lot more sporadic. Reduce the viscosity, and we see that a lot more particles increase the viscosity, and it's a lot more fluid. So this is what happens when we turn gravity almost off. They function about the same, honestly. The UI just looks different. They do work well. They look about the same. The way it is represented is just different, and I think that is just a creative decision. They both have about 5,000 particles. Opus is easier to work with, I'll have to say. It's just easier to work with. So if we shift click, we get to repel when we shift click, and we attract when we just click. I don't think that happens here. Anyway, I'll say that Opus's version is easier to work with just because we have a lot more particles up top, but they function the exact same way and they do the exact same thing. Yeah, I do want to say it's a tie. I would say it's a tie because one of the things I missed out on, one of the things I omitted when I make these tests is I forget the fact that Kimi or JLM or Quen or Gamma, these are open weight models. These are way cheaper models than Opus or Codex, and it's always just fun to see how well they stack up against these models. So it's going to be a tie from both of them, and you guys can let me know what you think in the comments if you think Kimi won or if you think Opus won this round. But I think it's a tie. I think they function really well on virtue of performance, but if we're to factor everything, cost and everything else, speed perhaps, Kimi k2.6 takes the cake because it works and it is way cheaper. So those are my thoughts. So that is my thought on this particular test. We can move on to the second test. So this is a tie. The first test is a tie between Opus and Kimi. So the test is to check for algorithm correctness plus design taste simultaneously. This is the prompt. So we're going to take a look at how long it took the models to complete the task. It took Kimi k2.6 16 minutes, which is about half the time it took Opus, which is about 8 minutes 14 seconds. So Opus was faster, but let's see how well they perform and what the difference are. So it's called Pathfinder Race, and UI design choices right off the bat, very different. I like what I'm seeing with both of them. The barcode decision design choice with kimi k2.6 is really interesting. And Opus just went with something pretty standard. Let's see if they break or if they function. So let's go for race. We're gonna start with Kimi's version. If we were to clear the walls and race, okay, that seems to work. If we were to reset and add a maze, it says no path because there's no path forward. We take this out, and let's say we take this out. We try to draw a path to it. Let's see what it does. Okay, it's able to figure it out. So it is functional. I'm not sure what this is. Okay, it went all the way here and it did this. So let's try a random maze. Race. Nice. Another random noise. Race. Okay, that seems to work really well. And that is really impressive. I think it's really impressive. It's actually a really fun game. So Pathfinder Race works well on kimi k2.6. Let's see how well it performs on Opus 4.7. Opus's version is interesting, but it works. Let's get a random maze. Let's clear the walls. If we clear the walls, it's just straightforward. But it could just go forward. Oh. It's always going to do that. All right, so random maze, make it really fast. Random maze. Random maze. I'm seeing some... So... Opus seems to be cheating. I mean, there is a path. But why is it doing it that way? Okay, so I'll try to block Opus's path and let's see what happens. Okay. It still goes through. It's pretty smart. Okay. Nice. All right. So, okay, it also says no path here. 25 paths. It shows the time. It shows the node. Pretty good. I think this is pretty cool. They both work really well. Tie on both ends. It'll come down to subjective decisions like UI, and all of that fancy stuff. So you let me know which one is your favorite. I like both of them equally, honestly. I think, again, it is impressive that k2.6 is able to one-shot this with no errors, guys. It's insane. The fact that we're able to get this from a model that is, practically free, all things considered. Yeah, so UI design choices, and I guess if you build out a UI design skill, we can get very similar designs and front end from both of these models. So a tie from me, honestly. Fully functional, UI looks good. Let's move on to the next prompt. So the third prompt is a technical 3D and state management test. And this is the prompt. We're going to be making use of 3D.js, and we're going to be building stuff that feels like NASA's mission control. Time to completion, 11 minutes Kimi, 4 minutes Opus. I do think the time it takes Kimi to wrap this up could be subjective. That could be an API thing with Open Router, but hey, it's just what it is. And we spent about 13 cents to get this done, and a few of the other tests have been also pretty inexpensive. 5 cents to get the first one done, but we can't really check that on Opus. If I was actually making API calls, we could see that, but let's just take a look at the performance. Okay, first off, looks pretty good. Let's see if it works. All right, it lags quite a bit. Okay, let's stick to Kimi's version. Let's see what we have going on here. Left click to select, right click, drag to orbit, scroll to zoom. So okay, we're zooming out. Let's zoom in. Oh, that was cool. We get to see detailed. Oh, wow. Can you see how bright it got when it got close to the sun? Classification, terrestrial. We see the orbital parameters. Orbital period is about 225 days. This is Venus. Let us see if the stats is about the same with Opus. I think this should be Venus. Yeah, that is Venus. So we're getting some UI bugs here. I'm not sure why Opus is doing that, but Opus's parameters is a bit more detailed. It takes it 224.7 days as opposed to 225 that Kimi gives us. So Kimi rounds it up. Opus, shows us the exact numbers, and it's it is pretty impressive, but it's buggy. And this flicker we're getting from Opus isn't good. If we dismiss this, we go back. I think this is Earth. Let's see. Earth is moving way too fast. So this is Earth. And Opus's version is a little bit buggy, I would say. Yeah, so in my opinion, Kimi k2.6 wins this round. You know, it kind of looks nicer. We're not having weird UI bugs. And Jupiter, this is Uranus. I don't think we have Saturn though. So we don't have Saturn or Uranus on Kimi's version, which is kind of weird. I guess we do. What is this? Oh, we do have Saturn. Okay, we do have Saturn, and you know, it's not doing this weird thing. So yes, my verdict, Kimi k2.6 win this version. So that brings us to 3-2. So Kimi is currently leading Opus. So that is it for this test. We're going to move to the fourth test, which is honestly my favorite test of all of this. These have been really impressive. They've been really, really fun. But my favorite one is when we put these models up against each other to generate remotion components. If you're not familiar, remotion allows you to build out motion graphics by making use of the remotion library with code. So you can prompt your way to building out really impressive things. It takes a lot of skill, a lot of creativity, but Opus typically tends to do a better job, in my opinion and in my experiences. I am honestly really curious to see how well Kimi performs, considering the fact that it's been doing really well so far. So let's get into that and see if Kimi wins this for me. All right, so we're going to start with Kimi's version. This open source Rise was built by Kimi k2.6, and Opus 4.7 was built by Opus 4.7. Take a look at Kimi's version and see what we have. Close models. Oh, it's an explainer about open source models. So it's like walking us through how far open source models have come in the past 2 years. So this is, you know, kind of something you would expect if you're making an explainer video and you give it a really interesting prompt to go over that. So the prompt was pretty detailed, quite honestly, a lot more detailed than all of the other tests I have ran. And the goal was to have 4 different scenes and to make it about, I think, 40 seconds in total and 60 FPS. And, you know, you can see the prompt is a bit detailed, and these are the technical requirements, yada, yada, yada. So this is kind of what you'd expect when you make use of Kimi k2.6 to work on a remotion component. Honestly, I don't think it's the best work because I've used remotion extensively, and I don't think this is really impressive. So I'm curious to see how well Opus performs, and let's just dive right into that. Yeah, right off the bat, we can see that Opus keeps closed models in frame. They're about the same here, not bad. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, it does have a few weird things going on for it, but the future is open. That's intelligence in everyone's hand. Yeah, so there we go. Opus wins this for me, easy. I don't need to go over the details, but I'd like to know what you think. But Opus wins this version for me. And let's move on to the last final prompt, which is a very detailed front-end heavy complex prompt. So let's see what that looks like. All right, so I had a sneak peek at the results, and I am really excited, really, really impressed. However, this is the UI we gave the models to build out. This is just a dashboard UI I got from Dribble. I'll be sure to link that in the description. I don't own this or whatever. I just got this UI and I wanted to see how well they will perform. So quick anecdotes. It took Kimi 6 minutes, 20 seconds to get this done, and it took Opus 3 minutes, 19 seconds to get this done. And these are the final results. Honestly, I am really, really impressed. It looks really, really good. And if you start and when we reload the page, we can see that the bar charts animates. This isn't great, so, but this is really impressive in my opinion. Obviously the buttons don't click because there's nothing there, but it does look very, very similar. So Opus falls apart here, but Kimi seems to do a good job with tab management because it's sort of simulating the browser environment. So that's sort of like why we have that. I can see this. Let's see. Okay, so that is optimized. And no, it is not optimized for mobile on Kimi k2.6. Neither is it optimized on Opus, because there were no direct instructions to build mobile responsiveness, and that's fine. Yeah, this is a tough one, honestly. This is pretty tough for me to pick who wins. The representations are good. I think Kimi, loses a couple points because of this. Opus also loses a couple points because of this. This is tough. Because they both do really, really well. Honestly, I want to give it to Kimi k2.6 because the fact that this model was able to pull this off in one shot, I think it deserves it. Opus 4.7 is impressive. We all know that, right? It's also really expensive. Kimi k2.6 wins. Kimi k2.6 wins. Kimi k2.6 wins. I'd love to know what you think, though. I think k2.6 takes the cake here. It's a clear winner. And that's it. Those are my thoughts. We just finished the comparison video between Kimi k2.6 and Opus 4.7. And Kimi k2.6 is the clear winner here. I think it was really impressive considering how inexpensive the model is. The fact that it is open source. It's a really, really, really great, impressive model. I will be using Kimi k2.6 a lot more. I do think that it could use a bit more help with fine tuning and a bit more prompts to get things to work, but it's not that far off from Opus. It's not an absolutely technical test. It could have been way more technical. And maybe I'll do something like that where just writing backend code, refactoring backend API codes and stuff. Maybe we'll do that in a live stream or something. But all in all, very impressive model. Satisfied with how well it panned out. And Kimi k2.6 is the clear winner. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like this one, feel free to subscribe, share this with friends, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Peace.